in-depth stuff here.
Yeah, it's gonna get deep.
Yeah. And then after that,
Where's the tissue box?
you and Amy you help her start a podcast.
Yes, I will talk to her about that.
It doesn't take long to do. It's just this is
He's
the thing.
all about some podcasting. He'll get
WV Uncommon Place. This podcast is a variety podcast that houses numerous series to cover mental health, empowerment, podcast framework, and various intimate theories to get to know the hosts. Along with occasional movies reviews and dives in pop culture with our event podcast episodes. The Uncommon Place digs into bringing guests on that stories don't fit the mold and are very different. WV stands for the great state of West Virginia, and every quarter we cover something in West Virginia. Stacey and myself, JR, are your hosts, so please come along for this venture to Uncommon Place.
All right, everybody, we're here for the main event now. I have with me Kristina Wright, but let's do her an old justice. Kristina Trent, from when we went to school in middle school. We met each other back then. She was a Spitfire. She had a little short haircut back then.
Please don't remind me.
And crazy story is she's from Concord, and everybody knows that Concord people, how we feel about them being from Rustburg. You either love them or you don't love them.
Rivalries.
Yep, the Indians against the Red Devils.
The Red Devils, correct.
Many times battling on the field and
Yes.
battling each other. And in middle school, we all got together after 5th grade. By 6th grade, we were all common by then. Yes. Now, Kristina is here with us, and she is a podcaster. So let's get that out the way real quick. If you want to be on her show, she has a nice avenue for you to reach her on that, email address, I believe, that she puts out there. And she should have a calendar soon that you can just schedule time with her whenever she has time dedicated for that. If she doesn't have it up now, I can't tell you. But anyway, I'm JR. This is Kristina Wright, and we are here to talk about her and her life and her podcast. Now, the nostalgia question that gets asked on this show every time is, who is that person? So we're not going to do that with you because you're like me. You can talk a mile a minute, and a minute turns into a day.
Yeah.
So this is what I want to know. What started you on your journey to podcasting?
Well, first of all, years of wisdom. I'm 40 years old now, and the older you get, the more wisdom, the more faith, the more strength, the more resilience you have towards life and looking back. And I remember when I was 9 or 10 years old writing literally an autobiography about my life at that time in a notebook. And I think I still actually have that notebook today, thinking about it. And I started doing therapy and counseling maybe about a year ago, and it has really helped with coming out of my childhood trauma. I dug it down so deep that I didn't want to bring it back out to the therapist and go over everything that happened to me when I was younger again, because I just knew it was going to cause more heartache and more trauma for me when I got older. So once I started talking to the therapist, I really started getting the truth out there and the resilience that I have now as being 40 years old, and it really makes me think that I should actually portray this to other people and let them know they're not alone throughout mental health and childhood trauma and the anxiety that you have every day and your struggles just to wake up in the morning. So I think that's basically how I started with wanting to do my own podcast.
Okay, and I like that. And the thing that me and you both have in common is growing up in our generation, we had to look in the mirror, and we had another guest on that we talked about that, and you did a show with a guest that knows that too. Looking in the mirror, self-actualization is not something we're taught. It's something that happens to you with the experience and the ups and downs in life. And I like that. So let's go back to your childhood, if you don't mind. And these things that we're about to talk about, audience and everyone, these will build the foundation for what's going to go a little bit further, correct?
Yeah.
So if you don't mind, tell us how life started out for you.
It's going to get deep. It might be a few tears shed. Unfortunately, I was born in 85. And I call myself, I don't know what else to call it other than a fair child. I had, my mom was with someone that was actually 20 years older than her. And he, of course, lied and told her, he wasn't married, he didn't have any children, all the good stuff that men particularly say sometimes when they wanted younger women. So then I came about, and he let her know that he'd pretty much have nothing to do with me because he has his own family, his own life, blah, blah, blah. So, I grew up as she grew up as a single mother, raising me. With that came, her trying to balance life. She was young at the time and trying to balance me. And it didn't go so well. Unfortunately, I think when I was 3, my aunt had to step in and take custody away due to negligence. And it was hard for me, I guess, at 3. I don't really remember too much, but that happened. And I think she got her life back together, and I was back with her as far as custody about 5 years old when I met my stepfather, and he came into her life. So, everything was good. We were a little family. He treated me well. He was a great man in my life. He was a great role model. Mom before that was an alcoholic, so it was really hard for her to find that stability of not drinking because he did not let her drink. Like, he knew that if she was to drink, it would get very ugly and after. So it was a big problem with making sure that she wasn't drinking, and she did very well for a while. But as for all addictions, it ends up creeping up on you sometimes. And I remember fights and arguing, and not letting Mom come in the door at 2:00 in the morning because she was belligerent. So, dealing with that as you were 4 or 5 years old, you still remember that. Even though you're young, you still have those traumatic memories. And I think that's why I'm so adamant about how I portray myself as a parent now, because as young as you feel, you still remember those incidents that happen. And unfortunately, every now and then she would drink, but she would get better. And life was good for a little while. We had my sister. They had a baby together, and they ended up having my sister Cecily. So we were all doing good for a while, and Mom would still have her little mishaps, but everything would go back to where it was. Then I think in 1995, we got a phone call. My dad, well, I call him my dad because that's basically who he was to me. Got a phone call when I was in elementary school, and got a phone call and stated that my stepdad or my dad had a heart attack at 43 years old and had passed. So that was pretty hard at 9 years old to learn and to figure out what we're going to do next. I had a neighbor come get me from school that day, and we came home, and I remember everybody just sitting in the dining room, and everybody's just crying. Mom was crying, and I just said, "Mom, what's wrong? Did you get fired from your job?" I didn't know why everybody was so upset, and she told me that he had died, and all I can remember is just running to my room and just crying, and just wanted to stay in a shell and isolated. Didn't want to come out, didn't want to express anything, and it was just another, like, what are we going to do now? So life was very hectic there for a while. Mom got back into drinking. There was nights where the music, she loved music, and she loved to drink, and it just didn't stop. It just went on for hours. And I remember sleeping in the closet floor just so I can make it to school the next day, so I can have some sleep. turning that music down. And I think that's why I'm so triggered now to loud music, is because of what happened back in the day. And it carries on with you, with childhood trauma and things and noises. And I think that's why, I have been diagnosed with PTSD. So it all comes together. And unfortunately, it comes harder when you get older. So with going to therapy, it's really helped me, like, let people know, just because you had a terrible trauma or childhood doesn't mean that, you can't become somebody better when you grow up, or you can't use the excuse, well, my parents were terrible to me and they hit me and they beat me and they did this to me. Guess what? It happens. It happens to a lot of people. But it's who you make out of yourself when you get older is what's important. And, with my mom drinking and the eventually led to drugs and all the bad stuff that comes with it, become a lot of jail visits, jail. When I was in prom, she was in jail. When I had very important things, when I was in graduation, she was in jail, and she had to get out on bond or whatever they call it, and then she would go back. And it was just a lot of important things in my life that she had missed because of her poor choices in life. So I grew up basically taking care of myself. And, I had my sister too. And fortunately, but unfortunately, she was taken when she began in middle school because of, everything that was going on. I chose at my age to stay with my friends and family in Rustburg, to go ahead and graduate high school. And, she ended up staying with my aunt. And so we were pretty much separated then. We were 4 years apart. We really didn't get along as much as we do now. But, it's basically just being your own adult for your whole life. You wasn't a child. So that's what I'm working through now. And I think that's why I think my podcast would do great, because not everybody. It's a lot of people that's gone through some things in life and really just want to talk about it and get it out there. And I think that's okay.
Right. And I can go down the list with you real quick, and this will be crazy. My father died in 94, March of 94. I was in second grade or something like that, second or third grade, whatever it was. He died then. My mom had a mental breakdown. The women that we dealt with, me and you, were fortified by the men that loved them. And I never knew until hearing your part and thinking about my father and what he did, and with him passing and with your father passing, they were the man and the woman at the same time. They held the household together, and that glue, when it fell apart, and I'll be honest with you, my mom's a schizophrenic manic depressant. My mom took $10,000 out the bank, went down to Lynchburg Airport, hopped on a plane, and she went to Las Vegas.
What she said. She kind of sounds like something I would do, but yeah.
Yeah, so I understand deeply about that. And it's the thing about the love that your father gave you. And that's something that we're always chasing, and I'm still chasing it to this day. And knowing this now,
there's a void.
Yeah,
there is a hole and a void. Just because, the funny part it's not funny though. I met my dad one time when I found out. The sad part, even sadder part about this, is when my mom had to get a DNA test between two men. We had to go to court. I had to do the whole swabbing thing. Well, when they did find out who he was, he came up to me. He said, "Wow, you're short just like me. You look like you're going to be a great kid," and then walked away. I think that Christmas, I ended up getting some old VHS movies in a box for Christmas. I think I sent him a Father's Day card, and I sent him an invitation to my graduation, which he never came to, and I hadn't, it's been, 30, almost 30 years that's happened. And with that, I knew I had brothers and sisters, but they didn't know about me because I was that secret child. So I actually decided one day I wanted to reach out to them. And, with our social media now, I was like, well, I knew their names. So I said, well, let's try Facebook. Let's start with that. So I did find them. I found one of my brothers and one of my sisters, and I reached out to both of them. And, I started out slow. I didn't really just say, hey, I'm your sister. But I ended up getting rejected. I was blocked, and that put another void and hole, there, because I didn't do anything wrong. I was just born in the wrong situation. So for you to reject me as one of your siblings doesn't make sense to me. But it is what it is. People are going to be how they're going to be. And all I can do from that is just be resilient towards each hurdle that I've gone through, basically.
Okay.
So.
And, with your brothers or your siblings, it could also be the politics of your sperm donor.
Yes, that's correct.
And a lot of times, because you see it later on in life, and the one thing that's crazy is what happened to us as kids translates into our lives later.
Absolutely.
It goes into the first major relationship. And that's something that even I'm guilty of in my first major relationship and things like that, like, out of school and then things like that. When a child gets involved, all of that trauma came into that relationship.
It comes right back.
And even though that pressure comes off your back, it gets projected.
Yes.
And everybody that's involved gets it, and then it starts that cycle again. And then we get out the first one, and we might go to a second one.
They get the retaliation from what you dealt with when you were a child.
Mm-hmm.
And I can relate to that as well. I had daddy issues. And it was, hey, a guy said hi to me. It was, hey, let's be in a relationship. Then, my first marriage, unfortunately, I don't think it was anything I did. But, we were together for 10 years. Unfortunately, he had an affair multiple times, and I just wanted to have that family. Regardless of what he did, I just wanted the family of us. So what I did, I finally just said enough was enough after 10 years, and I went out on my own. And I know a lot of women are like, yeah, but I'm so stuck. I'm stuck in this situation, and I can't get out. And yes, you can. You can get out. You just have to make sure that you have a process of everything. And at that time, with relationships, now that I was traumatized for my first marriage, I see it coming with, nothing he's ever done, but I can see some things that I worry about when I was with my first marriage, I carried on to him.
The projection,
The projection.
And that's the crazy thing. And no matter how much mental help we can get or workflows or somebody can tell me, that's the thing that I'm always worried about with my wife. Like, I have to watch some projections, certain things, and certain attitudes, and even expression. The expression is what's worse for me, because it's like we were built a certain way. We seen how a man and woman interacted, and we seen how a man and woman disrespected each other. And the disrespect sat more in my head than the stuff that should have sat in my head. And we take that, we compartmentalize it, put it in our memories museum, and then it comes out in certain instances, a fight. When a fight starts, we go back to our childhood, or as a teacher, you say, we put our thinking cap back on, and we go back to that.
We go back to that trauma bubble is what I call it. And I'm still, like I said, therapy, the thing about therapy is a lot of, I've talked about this on my podcast as well. Some people are so against therapy, and I've never understood that, because, a lot of people are old school and just talk it out or just get over it or go to a gym or whatever. Therapy has basically been my saving grace, and I should have started it years ago. But I really think that people should start, creating their own way of knowing who they want to be, especially starting with therapy.
That, like, when I was a kid, because I had a certain colony of women that were around me, my aunts, and my uncles, y'all are cool and all, but it was the aunts and those that saved me, the women in my life, even friends that were girls and all this stuff. I went to therapy when my dad died. If you compare me to my sister and everything that's going on with her, and yes, if you don't know anything about what happened with my sister, you can talk to me about that. I will talk to you about that privately. I won't air her business out. But we all know my sister went to jail for 20 years. Everybody knows that. She committed some heinous crimes, some different things. She didn't go get help. Anytime I saw myself getting out of sync in life, I would go get help. And you and me have one thing in common that a lot of people don't. We helped others.
I've always been a fixer, and
Right.
I don't know,
Right.
I don't know what that is about maybe childhood trauma, but and I tell my husband all the time, if there is a situation for anything in life, and I mean anything, like my kid plays travel ball, and some things pop up or doesn't happen, I'm like, let's fix it. We are fixers, and we want to fix relationships. We want to counsel other people and show people how to guide them when we've got our own crap
Right.
going on.
And nobody can, I mean, up until my 30s, nobody could help me.
Yeah.
I would not let people in. And like anybody that knows me right now to this day, my circle is very small, but I know everybody.
Yeah.
I know every
Same.
single person.
Same.
And the people that I do let in, I've had to trust them so much, and it's few. And I'll say this, I deal with probably in a week's time with phone calls and everything with working this, probably 3,000 people. I have 23 people. And I put them in a special place, and it's on social media that they can always see me. And I talk to those 23 people. And it would be crazy who those people are. We've talked about a few of them. But that's my central network. And I learned the value of this. No one's expandable. You can't throw people away. But you can put them in your memories museum. That's a boundary I set up. And I can tell you to exit stage left. I'm not going to forget you. If you did something crazy to me or something out of line, I may not forgive you all the time at that moment, but I will forgive you. But I learned that peace is more important than me trying to go through some trials and tribulations. Amen to that.
Amen.
Like
I will speak about that in just a second. Yeah.
I can't sit here. And the other thing I learned is I can't sit here and fix everyone's problem. If it's dedicated to the linear expression that I'm trying to live in life, yes, I'm going to help you work through it.
Absolutely.
If it's a friend to the side and you want to talk about it, I'm a listening ear. I am no longer the person that's going to be like, hey, you've got to go out here and do this, do that, and work on this. No, I'm not going to build you up. I do not raise any more Pokemon. I am done being a trainer. That's one thing that my wife has taught me. I do that too much. And then when you and I need the help or need someone, yeah, my 23 may be available sometime, but we both know that we can never get the full extent of what we do for people, for us, don't matter who it is. And I know that now, and you know that now, so I lessened the load on me.
I agree. I'm going to add to that. When I started my therapy sessions, when I first started, all I was talking about everybody else and what they were doing and what their problems were and all of this. And she looked at me and she said, Kristina, are they in your box? Are they in your box? And I said, what do you mean by that? She said, who should be in your box is your two children and your husband. If they are not in your box, then you don't need to worry about it. You do not need to worry about what is in everybody else's box or in everybody else's lane or whatever the situation is. If it doesn't affect you physically or mentally, and it didn't, it was a worry. But if it's not your problem, then don't worry about it anymore. And that's helped me a lot with peace and boundaries. And, as we were speaking about my mother or any family members, I still love my mother. Don't get me wrong. It's just like I've been listening to Mel Robbins, of course.
Yeah.
She's my favorite. Let them. And I watched J.D. Vance's.
Okay, yes.
And if you've ever seen that movie or listened to that book and see how he is with his mother today after everything she did to him, I am not 100% forgiving of her for what she did. I'm still very, very resentful towards her. And I am working on that through therapy. And she knows that. And it's very hard to know that you've lost your whole childhood because of your parent.
Right.
So we are working through that. Like I said, there's no bad juju with us. We work through things, and it's going to take time. So.
And just similar but not similar, like with my mom, for instance, like me coming back to Lynchburg all the time, like I've been doing over the last 4 years. For a period of time, I didn't come back here. When I left in 2006, I stayed in West Virginia, and I went everywhere. I went through Virginia, but I never stopped in this town. Because like with my mom, our situation was she threw money in my face. My father died. There was a big insurance thing.
She made everything better with money.
Right, and everybody knew that was with me that, if we were JR, his mom's so cool. Like, kids would come stay with us to go to skate land and whatever, my mom would take you to the mall and buy you, if you didn't have the clothes that we should have, she would do that. And thinking about how she always wanted to be a friend to me.
Yeah, not a parent.
Not a parent. It messed me up later in life because shout out to Megan Thompson. I do want to say that to her. She's a beautiful nurse that takes care of my mom over at Pace, Morgan Ward's sister.
Okay.
All right, Megan Ward back then. I'm taking care of my mom now.
Same.
My
Same.
mom is a diabetic.
Yeah.
She don't take care of herself. When we come to town, lo and behold, my lovely wife Stacy gets on her. Like, hey, you gotta get this done. So it's like us. We're parents now.
It's like we're parents all over again.
Yeah,
and I can add to that as well. My mom, unfortunately, she did stop the drinking. And I will say, congrats to her. It does take a lot for her to just stop that addiction for so many years. But we kind of gave her an ultimatum. We told her, we said, hey, we've got these grandkids, and we don't want to go through what we went through as kids. So in order for us to do that, either you stop your addiction or you won't see your grandkids. And she stopped. Does she still smoke? Yes, unfortunately she does. So that comes with COPD and other health problems. So I do take care of her as well as my sister on the side when she's needed. So it comes back around. And it's like you've lived for 10, maybe 15 years of yourself, you being an adult, and then you're back to square one.
Right, and I'm like, I'm 40 now. I'm going to be taking care of her. I want her to live a long time, but I'm going to probably, even right now, a hard thing that I had to transition with, as of yesterday, we went out to Red Lobster with her, and I'm looking at her dexterity in her hands, and my mom can't even hold a TV remote to turn the channel. So I'm going to eventually have to make the decision, and I'm going to take her out of here, which means I'm going to leave here.
Yeah.
Because I don't have any ties after she's gone. But I'm going to take her to West Virginia or Florida, whichever way I decide. But that's a hard thing.
That's a hard decision for anybody,
right? Because she has her family here, the ones that are here that are not me, minus my sister. And it's like, if I take her away from that, she'll go up there and die in West Virginia, honestly, in my heart. And no disrespect, mother, or anything like that. But I feel like if I take her, uproot her. But I can't come back here because there's
nothing for you.
I gain my success outside of here.
Absolutely.
I seen, one thing I will say about myself, and I'm not trying to be bragging or anything, I was wise to one thing. I seen everybody we went to school with. I seen the valedictorian to the lowest person graduating. I've seen the lowest person that graduated be set, wealthy, and doing better than some of our previous valedictorians. No shots at any of y'all, because some of y'all are doctors and lawyers. But
I agree.
I've seen everybody in our lineage for us. We'll go Rustburg High School. That goes the class of 99 to probably 2008, would you say, or 2009?
2008, yeah.
Yeah. So that group of people, I've seen them, and me and you've talked about some things privately. I've seen how so much that people have gone through. That's why when I started my podcast, I reached out to certain people back then, and even now that we're talking now. I wish I had talked to you earlier. I talked to you one time earlier, and this is a funny thing. You were going through your divorce, and you put a comment out there. And I wrote you a message, I think it was 2018 or something. And I said, I don't know you from a can of paint now. You remember that conversation?
Yeah, I do.
And I told you, but you had a beautiful demeanor to you. And when we talk about beauty, the aesthetic of beauty is when something breaks, a glass, a vase or anything. A vase is something you can put back together. And with each crack, it has a story.
It has a story.
And in your case. And with that aesthetic, the things that you went through in life are what give you your beauty. And to the elementary mind, what I just said there is that when you go through an experience, it builds who you are, it brings a character. It gives you a certain sheen, it gives you a certain look that only you have. Nobody else can have that definition. And that's something to hold on to. Now, moving around in things, you go through the relationship, you have daughters, correct? And a son.
I have a 19-year-old daughter. Yeah, I actually had her when I was 20 years old, so I was still a baby myself.
Okay.
Freshly getting out of high school, and it was a learning curve for both of us. I learned a lot along the way, and my aunt stepped in because unfortunately my first relationship didn't work out with her father, and I ended up living in my grandma's little apartment, just me and her, and we didn't have a bed. We lived out of trash bags. We lived out of trash bags with clothes in them. We didn't have dressers, and we had to do what we had to do. And that's what I've always kind of said to people. You got to do what you got to do. And with that, you know, it brings strength. It brings strength as a single mom, and you know she's doing so well now. I'm so proud of her. She's a dental assistant.
Ooh.
She's going to CVCC for health sciences, which she could be a nurse. She could be anything in the healthcare field. And I've always told her, I've told both my children, don't be like me. You know, start out successful. And you know what? If you hit a couple bumps in the road, that's okay. It's okay to get lost. It's okay to not find your career right now. It's okay. You know, I'm 40 years old. I still don't know what I want to do with my life. So, you know, she's great. And I have a 12-year-old son who unfortunately has ADHD and anxiety. And I feel like that's really not talked about enough sometimes. And I'll probably do a podcast on that later on. And it's a struggle. It's a struggle for him right now with school. And I have a stepdaughter who is 11. She's great. She's basically so easy to get along with, and she's very respectful to me as her stepmother. And my husband has just been a rock for me throughout this whole supportive journey and trying to find myself. So, yeah.
Okay, so let's get on to him. How do you find Mr. Wright? How do you find Mr. Wright?
And he is Mr. Wright. You know, it's so funny that you say that, because I remember years ago, and this might choke me up a little bit, but when I prayed to God to find me a good man, and I swear on the Holy Bible, when I asked God to send me a uniformed Marine and a good man, that's exactly what he said to me. My whole family has been Marines, so Semper Fi. And lo and behold, I knew him as kids. We were little kids, so we knew each other. He actually lived near my uncle, so I would come over there, and we'd play hide and seek and trampoline, play on trampoline, all that good stuff. So, you know, we wouldn't really talk about relationships back then. You know, life goes on. We both got married, had children, all that good stuff. And we actually started communicating on online dating service.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I had turned it off for a while, because if anybody knows online dating services, they do know that, unfortunately, you get a lot of feedback 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So I turned it off for a little while. Then I turned it back on, and he had messaged me 2 weeks before that. So I reached back out to him, and the rest is history. We'll be together 6 years in June. So I couldn't be more blessed. But from a perspective with us having trauma, we always think to ourselves, what bad is going to happen? Because everything's so good right now. What is going to happen now? Mm-hmm. And that's still a hard thing for me to grasp sometimes. You know, okay, everything's going so good. What's going to happen? So I'm still dealing with that.
But I'm glad you found Mr. Wright, and he is literally Mr. Wright. That's the crazy thing to go on there.
Yep.
Now, tying everything together, because I know we've been on here for a good bit. You have the podcast. We have a lot of people that are local, and I like that you're doing something local. I wish that if I could have went back and did everything again, I would have stayed tighter with the local people than with this. But in all honesty, with me, my struggle was this. When I started my podcast, I know I travel, and I reached out to certain people across that lineage I told you about, and only 4 or 5 people decided to be on there. Shout out to Amy Banton, Vesna. Vesna is a beast, and I, hopefully I can get her back on one day. Carmen and a few other people, and Calvin too. Calvin Unroe. He's a Google god. If you need anything with Google, go holler at him. And just we all have bonds somewhere, even though we haven't spoken. I hadn't spoken to you in like 20 plus years. I remember, like, not so much Awanas, but like in breakfast, 5th, 6th, 7th grade, breakfast time when we were in middle school, everybody was there at lunchtime. And then the things that still connect people to this day, because they call me Mystic Nostalgia, my memory's photographic. I remember a Halloween dance. I remember when we...
Well, we'll have to chat about that sometime, because I don't remember.
So the thing is like, I can remember people the way they were. And the sad thing I see is people now chasing that person they were and trying to be them. And I'm not saying I've always stayed the same, but I pretty much try to keep that person. And you seem like you've kept a little bit. You have grown. You've gotten taller. I want to address that to everybody. She has gotten taller.
I don't know about that. I still haven't reached 5 foot, but we might get there one day.
One day, yeah. You know, a set of high heels or a pair of Skechers will get you that tall.
Right.
Now, the lasting effect that you're going to have with your podcast, and I want to give you this as a testimony, is you're going to help people. And in helping people, you're not looking for gratification. You're not looking for any of that because you did something with your life. You decided this. I'm not going to live in augmented reality. I'm going to live a real reality.
Absolutely.
Let's go away from social media for a minute because everybody knows I post a picture. It says something to you, but it really could mean something else to me. It does every time we do.
Absolutely.
So no person can ever take a picture and say this and this and that unless they hear it from the source. So we both know that, but you decided to do a podcast to actually get out here to empower people beyond their means, to let them know that, hey, I'm just like you. I don't have to hide behind a facade. I don't have to say I'm from here or there. You're from Concord. I'm from Rustburg. You're an Amherst. You're a Lancer now.
Yep, go Lancers.
And my family, they're actually, the Sparrows are Amherst County and Nelson. So we got to tie in there. But we know everybody. You've seen everything. We've seen the systems. We see how everybody's worked out. And we see people that have had downfalls and different things like that. And the downfalls and the rising action, the phoenix that comes out of it, just like you, and just like so many people you know, that's going to be the amazing grace that comes for your show. And one thing I would want you to always do and keep is your smile. Because when we were kids, you used to put your hair back in a little ponytail because you didn't have much hair back then.
All the time.
Yeah, and you had these little bangs.
Never had my hair down, yeah.
Yeah, you had these bangs. And you would smile at people. You were always nice. And you know, when you became a Spitfire, I remember, I forgot who the PE teacher was, but we were in 6th grade, and boys would get dressed, y'all get dressed, but we would all run around together. And
She had short hair. Miss Blackburn?
was it Miss Blackburn or Miss Rice? Or was
It was both of them, actually.
All right, both of them are,
yeah, they were kind of,
because we had Mr. Hahn and somebody else.
Yeah. Miss
And
Blackburn. I
even,
loved her.
and we would play mat ball.
Yeah, yep.
And mat ball, where you were one of the smallest ones,
Yep.
we had this kid named TJ Golf. He was the best. Like, I mean, he's got kids that are playing sports now, but that boy could kick a ball. If we had a major league kickball thing, he'd be a world champion. But he could kick that ball, and it would hit the basketball goal.
Yeah.
And you and your group, I remember it was another girl, Emily Kibler, and Sarah Dotson.
Yeah.
All of y'all would run, and then it would be me, Daniel Hamlet, and where he was always stocky and heavy. He would get on that mat, and all of y'all little people would slide with him on that mat. And the reason I'm bringing this up is that camaraderie we all had. We knew that we had to stay together to get to the end of the finish line. And that's something that got lost in translation somewhere. We have all, it is not because we hate each other or have any problems, it's just society and life. Have just moved us different ways. And that's something that you're going to bring back together with your show.
Yeah. And, you know, it's so funny because everybody does their reunions. And unfortunately, this past year, we only had about 25 of us show up. And, you know, everybody had something to do, which is fine. But, you know, I think the best thing to do is reconnect with people to make sure that, you know, even if it's just a little conversation to have with somebody, just a quick conversation, seeing how you're doing. People that used to be friends back in the day, and just reconnect with everybody is very important to me. And just making sure that I think it would be great to get back, you know, the locals. So.
Okay. And one. Forgot about this. Sorry.
You're fine.
All right. Stacy just inquired about something. She let me know about a shameless plug. Make sure over here to the left, because you got to remember we're live. I want you to check out Kristina's show on Apple. She will Spotify. She has links up to that too.
Still trying to do all the Well, I got Spotify, Apple.
Apple. We need to get iHeart, Pandora.
iHeart. Yeah, I'm still trying to work all that out. It's
okay.
Yeah.
So definitely make sure you check out our show. And you release your show every Friday?
Every Friday. I'm trying to work on some guests that would love to talk. Either talk on Zoom, or we could do audio Audible, excuse me, and we don't have to go on camera. You do not. You can always, if you are from here, you can remain anonymous. I will not throw out names, but you are welcome to come on my show. Just please, it's called Behind the Lens. It's on Spotify, and if you need me to send you a link, just let me know.
Okay. And then
they can contact me at behindthelenspod.com.
Okay.
And that's my email.
Now, that's your website.
That's my email.
How's it .com?
I lied. That is my, sorry, I'm still trying to get all this IT stuff. It's behindthelenspod at yahoo.com.
Okay,
let's
Yahoo.
try that.
Okay,
Yes.
let's do that one.
Still working on a website.
And then another thing, it's the fall time, and you do something else for people.
Are you referring to photography?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. I started photography, I want to say about 10 to 12 years ago. I'm just starting to do it, the family, and just really loving like the nature and just the pictures that you can capture that memory. So I started that about 10 or 12 years ago. It's kind of been a side hobby ever since, and it's kind of grew over the last couple years with doing, more of like weddings and social events, things like that. So you can always check me out at Just Right Photography. I have my own Facebook page, and I do events. I do proms, dances, weddings, all that good stuff. So, yeah.
And then you got the homecomings and different things coming up too.
Yep.
So you want to take care of
Homecoming's
that.
coming up, yep.
I don't know when Rustburg is because I'm not in there.
I'm not sure. I know I seen Brookville online, but I could definitely look it up. I think it's in October, mid-October, something like that. I'd always love to do Rustburg, so yeah.
All right, and one thing I want to do real quick, quick shout outs to some mutual people. There was this lady, Amanda. A best friend to you.
Yeah, Amanda Hall, yeah.
Yeah, shout out
She
to
is.
Amanda Hall.
Yeah,
Very
she is.
supportive.
She is. Me and Amanda we pretty much talk every single day on the phone, whether that's FaceTime or just talking. And I told her when we speak to each other on a daily that me and her need to do a live podcast, and I'm talking we will blow it out the water of the things that we go over and talk about. Some of it is, of course, a little bit of toxic talking about, other people. So we can't go that far. But, yeah, she's a really good friend of mine, and I'm glad she's on my team. So
Okay.
yeah.
Right there. And then everybody from the graduating class, 2004, and those other classes too. And a big shout out, rest in peace to Nikki Key.
Yes.
But I want to give an amazing shout out to Jamie Cash. I know she has a new last name. I don't want to chop it up. But Jamie Cash is one of the people that's very instrumental in that class. Very good person. From me and her grew up elementary school all the way up. Mm-hmm. And her father embodied Dixie youth softball. Mm-hmm. And no challenge or anything, but maybe in the future, do you got something going on that you might do a Dixie youth softball?
I had been talking about it over with you, and maybe in the future we could go back to the Rustburg Dixie Youth softball and talk to some girls that we used to play ball with and go over the old coaches and all the good memories that we have. Hopefully that's coming up soon, so
Okay.
I'll let you know.
And the thing that's amazing about that is that wealth, when we were coming up, sports, going to Awanas, like I'm going to tell you, I was a drifter. I went to Awanas at Highland Heights, Rustburg
on
Baptist.
Wednesday nights, right?
Yeah,
It used to be
Wednesday
at
nights.
Thomas Terrace.
Thomas Terrace?
Thomas
I would
Terrace.
catch a bus from Rustburg
Yes.
Middle to my cousin Tanja's house, and we ain't got to go into more details.
Yeah.
Everybody knows. If you don't know, then you don't need to know. And we had a great youth growing up. That's why I came back and I wanted to do these shows, because even though we all grew apart,
It still has that
Yeah.
bond with things that we used to do. when
right?
we were
And the thing
kids.
that I say to
Yeah.
people, everybody says that they get peak at certain points, but I want to say 5th grade to 12th grade was a peak time for so many people.
Yeah,
I mean, we still had good lives after that, but in general. So, Kristina, leave us with your mission statement, and then leave us with a lesson we need to keep in life.
I think one of my mission statements would be, just keep going. I have my bad days. A lot of people do, and it just takes a lot for people that has had, past trauma to work through it. And like I said, just keep going with that. And with an outgoing statement, I would just say to everyone that, stay resilient, stay strong, and definitely have your faith. Because if it wasn't for my faith throughout these past 40 years, I honestly don't know if I'd still be here.
Okay. And the last thing that I'll leave on that one on faith, let's do this one, everybody. In your Bible, you can turn to Romans 3, verse 23. It was the first thing we learned as a spark. For all have sinned and come short of the glory of God.
Yep.
And on that note, we're out of here.
Please follow WV Uncommonplace on Instagram, Tumblr, Twitter, TikTok, where we have some great content, Facebook, LinkedIn. Hit up the merch store at oncommonplace.square.site. Join the email list from the website, and rate, subscribe, and give feedback from your favorite podcatcher. And lastly, thanks for listening, and tune into the next episode.
Can you take that out?